بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله. As we have promised the brothers that we're going to be talking about the continuation of what is needed to be known about the month of Ramadan. And I just grab this opportunity to address my students and also the ones who are inshallah willing to fast the fast of Ramadan. The month of Ramadan, as we know, is a month that everybody hoping to be living in order to get as many rewards as possible. It's a month where the Prophet ﷺ, he said that is the month that if you make the qiyam or you make the siyam, even just during the night of Al-Qadr, you make the qiyam, hoping for the reward, believing in it, you're going to get a sin expiation for the rest of your life. فَقَدْ غُفِرَ لَهُ مَا تَقَدَّمَ مِنْ ذَنْبِهِ. All the previous sins will be forgiven. And I take this opportunity to continue from last time to talk about what is needed to be known regarding the fast breakers. For verily the fast breakers are of two types. One which is the ma'nawiyah, which is the spiritual one, and the other one which is the materialistic one. As we know that so many people are keen the month of Ramadan, and they should be as well, that is to abstain from food and drink from the dawn until the sunset. They make sure that there's nothing coming into their mouth or their noses from the water, from the food, and also not to make the marital relations, the intercourse while they are fasting. That is good, but we need to make sure as well, just like we are keen to abstain from food and drink, is to abstain from those, we call them the religious or the spiritual breakers of the fast, which is what the Prophet ﷺ, he said, لَيْسَ الصِّيَامُ مِنَ الْجُوعِ وَالْعَطَشِ. Verily fasting, it is not fasting by abstaining from food and drink, but وَإِنَّمَا الصِّيَامُ مِنَ اللَّغْوِ وَالرَّفَثِ. For verily the proper siyam is from the obscenity, the foul language, and whatever comes as well from evil acts, whether it's to do with the fornications and all of that, or it's to do with the slandering, backbiting, and lying, and other issues. So here the Prophet ﷺ is telling us, so the fasting is not just to abstain from the food or the drink. Imagine a person who is during the month of Ramadan, he takes his suhoor, then after that he sleeps all day, and then at the end of the day, just before the sunset, he goes to work in order just to fill up his name that he was working, and he was not working. And then he goes to the house and he breaks his fast. Did he fast? Actually, maybe yes, he abstained from food and drink, but he did not do the proper fast. For he had pretended that he was working, but he was not. So this is a person who is just taking the month of Ramadan. It's a month of, as I said, stopping from the food and the drink. And we tell as well the brothers, very careful here, that when we talk about the month of Ramadan, some of them, they take it as not the fast from all of those things, and not a month that you want to uplift yourself spiritually, but by them not knowing, they will think of it as something else. So, people when they talk about Ramadan, so Ramadan this year is going to be a long time. That's what they think about. It's going to be a long time. It's the longest Ramadan. It's the longest hour. SubhanAllah. What you don't know what you're saying, it's actually you moaning. You're complaining. The longest one, the longest hour, and the longest, subhanAllah. You kept saying this for a long time. And every time Ramadan comes, you say, MashaAllah, I didn't feel anything. MashaAllah, it's just like a piece of cake. MashaAllah, you keep repeating the same words every year. And some of the brothers, when you tell them, brother, you're gaining weight, Ramadan is coming. So for Ramadan, for them is just to drop their weight. Drop some weight. So Ramadan, without him knowing, already he had put Ramadan is not, as I said, to uplift him spiritually, but actually to drop his weight and to make sure that he's, in diet. This is not the month. So, he who does not abstain from foul language, from lying and slandering, then there is no need for him to fast. As the Prophet said, لَيْسَ لِلَّهِ حَاجَةٌ فِي أَنْ يَدَعَ طَعَامَهُ وَشَرَابَهُ مَنْ لَمْ يَدَعْ قَوْلَ الزُّورِ وَالْعَمَلَ بِهِ. If he does not abandon the falsification, the lying, all of that type of lying, then there is no need for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for him to fast and abstain from food and drink. Now, those are, as I said, the spiritual breakers. Coming now to the materialistic breakers. Materialistic breakers, they are, in terms of what we believe they are breakers, 7 breakers, and they are divided into 2 categories. Category number 1, which is the category which we call them the one that you have no choice. And there are 2, which is that is the menses and the postnatal blood. You have no choice. Once the woman, she has menses, and once the woman, she is giving birth, she experiences the discharge of the blood, so she has no choice for that. And this we say to her that she cannot fast. So if the blood came just the last moment before sunset, then her fast will not be accepted. And if the blood of the menses did not start just a moment after the Fajr, she cannot fast that day. So we know for a fact now that those 2 breakers of the fast, the women have no choice. Doctor, I'm not going to read now, so you could just, inshallah. I can just have everybody please come forward. Everybody come forward, please. The third type of breaker, which are the second type of breaker. So the first one is the one which is you have no choice. And there are 2, menses and postnatal. Now the second type, which is that you have a choice. And that is, those are the following 5 breakers. Food and drink and intercourse. Those are mentioned in the Quran. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He says, فَالْآنَ بَشِرُوهُمْ وَكُلُوا وَاشْرَبُوا حَتَّى يَتَبَيَّنَ لَكُمُ الْخَيْطُ الْأَبْيَضُ مِنَ الْخَيْطِ الْأَسْوَدِ مِنَ الْفَجْرِ. So those 3 are mentioned in the Quran, which is number 1, food, and number 2, drink, and number 3 is the intercourse. Now we come to them in details. Food is a fasting breaker with consensus of all scholars, no difference. And food, it doesn't matter whether this food comes from the nose or from the mouth. So when it goes from the nose or goes in the mouth, it will break the fast. Number 3, regarding food, is that whether it's beneficial or not beneficial. So whether this food is something that nice you take, or this food is like a piece of paper that you chew and you swallow. So the food is whatever comes into the mouth, whether it's beneficial or not beneficial. The drink, number 1 is consensus with all scholars. No difference among the Muslims. Number 2, regarding the drink, whether it goes through the nostrils or through the mouth. And the proof for that, the Prophet said, exaggerate in gargling and sniffing the water, except if you are what? Fasting. So if it is the case that anything goes from the mouth or anything from the nostril, it will break your fast. Because otherwise the Prophet of Allah would say, just exaggerate in the rinsing of the nose. And the third issue regarding the drink is whether it is beneficial or not beneficial. Whether it's poison or whether it is a normal water drink or whatever drink that you like. It will break your fast. So whether it is petrol, diesel, whether it is water, it doesn't matter, it will break your fast. Third one is the jima', the intercourse, and we have consensus from all the partisans and all the groups of the jama'at of the Muslims. This jima', intercourse, if it is to break the fast, is to be, that is, with the conditions that we mentioned, but it has been regarded as the biggest breaker in all the breakers, the jima', because it entails heavy penalty. Apart from the repentance that you do from the food and the drink if you did it deliberately, but in the intercourse there's a penalty as well to be paid. The intercourse, if you do it in the month of Ramadan and fasting is compulsory upon you, then the following 4 things will be implemented upon you. So if you did intercourse in the month of Ramadan while fasting, hopefully it will help. During the month of Ramadan and fasting is obligatory upon you, then it will entail the 4 things. Number 1, if you intercourse, your fasting is invalidated. Number 2, that is, you need to compensate for that day. Number 3, the sin. I should start with that. Number 1, the sin. Number 2, the invalidation of that fast. Number 3 is the compensation of that day. And number 4, which is the biggest expiation. Either free a slave, if you haven't, fast 60 days. If you haven't, you can't, then you go to feeding 60 people. So the 5th thing, some of the scholars, they say, which is, we don't have a proof of it, is to abstain for the rest of the day. So intercourse, you can't eat for the rest of the day. We don't have a proof of that. Number 1, the sin. Number 2, invalidation of that day. Number 3, you have to compensate by fasting that day. Number 4, you have to make one of these following expiation, either free a slave, you don't have a slave. You have to fast 60 days continuously. Okay? If you break one of the days from those 60 days, some of the Shaykh said you have to start from the beginning. Like Shaykh Ibn Uthaymeen, some of the Shaykh, like Shaykh Al-Albani said, I don't know. There's no proof. But it says mutawaliyat, mutataliyat, Allahu A'lam. Okay, so that is number 4, that is expiation. Or if you can't fast the 60 days, then you feed what? 60 people. But it has to be done, if that expiation, it has to be done in Ramadan. So if it is you are fasting a missed day in Ramadan and you intercourse, that big expiation is not there. You just fast a day instead of it. Do you understand me? So that expiation of fasting 60 days or feeding 60 people, or the first one is feeding a slave, is only when you do it what? In the day of Ramadan, not the compensation of the day of Ramadan. Also, the fasting is to be obligatory on you. That means you're not a traveler. If you're a traveler, you're allowed to eat. That means you're allowed to intercourse. Right. And we have as well number of conditions to be applied on all of this. We're going to come to them, so the conditions of those fasting breakers. Right, now we understand now the intercourse. This intercourse as well, whether you ejaculate or you don't ejaculate, it doesn't matter. Whether this intercourse is halal or haram, whether it's a wife or fornication, it will break the fast. So again, the intercourse, we say it's consensus. Number 2, it is whether it's halal or it's haram. Number 3, whether ejaculation or not ejaculation. Number 4, there is an expiation for that. And we said that when you do intercourse, is the biggest invalidator. You will be sinned. You will invalidate that day. You have to compensate that day, and then you have to do one of those expiations, as we have mentioned, feeding a slave or fasting 60 people. If you can't, then feed 60. Fasting 60 days if you can't feed 60 people. Now we're coming to the 4th invalidator. The 4th invalidator is, which is mentioned in the Sunnah of the Prophet of Allah, and if you deliberately vomit. That means the vomit did not overcome you, but you yourself made yourself to vomit by putting your hand into the mouth, or started to pull yourself to vomit. And number 5, which is the last one, that is the person who has nourishment instead of the food and the drink, which comes as a substitute for the food and the drink, like the drip. We call it injection. Injection, to inject yourself. All types of injections, you don't break the fast, except for the one which substitute the food and the drink. And I'm saying this, we don't have a proof from the Quran and Sunnah to say that those injectors, but we have general principles. In the Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talks about the mizan. The mizan is the scale of balance and justice. From that mizan, we could tell smoking cigarettes is haram. Could tell as well injectors that would substitute the food and the drink, even they don't go from the nostrils or the mouth. We say the scholars who said it's a breaker of the fast. Here they are more correct. So it breaks the fast, and somebody who is in such a state situation, he doesn't need to fast if he needs a drip. Those are the 5 breakers, that which we call them with the consent of a person. Now, there are scholars who add to those 5 breakers, there are 2 which we don't agree upon. That's me, not me. We means that scholars that they are adopted, they don't agree upon. Which is, number 1, al-hajim, al-hijama, al-hajim wal-mahdum. The one who does hijama, or the one who's got hijama being done upon him. Prophet ﷺ said, after al-hajim wal-mahjum, the hajim and mahjum had invalidated their fast. This is been abrogated. And it's been abrogated by Hadith Abdullah ibn Abbas and Hadith Anas radiallahu anhu, where he had made concession, and also Hadith Jabir, where it was the last case of the two, that is, the hijama does not break the fast. He had made concession for people to make hijama while fasting, and also he himself made hijama while he was fasting, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So the hijama, but we don't advise the hijama. We don't advise to make the hijama because the hijama takes blood from you. And that is why the Prophet Abdullah ibn Abbas, he said that the thing that breaks the fast, that thing goes in, not the things that comes out. So if something comes out like a blood, it does not break the fast. If something has to come in inside your body. Now, person who's making hijama, we tell them make hijama when you are not fasting, because your blood will drop down, you need nourishment, you need drinks. So it's not advisable. Why is it that the Prophet of Allah at the beginning, he said the hajim and the mahjum? We know that the person who got blood coming out through cupping is called cupping. Why is it that the person, yes, we understand the cupping loses the blood, yes, but what about the one who is making hijab? It's actually, the hijab at that time is different. It used to be done through like a cone. They suck the blood with their mouth, and that is why most likely he will swallow the blood. But now these days it's being done by the air gun, which is modern ones. So this is the hijama, we say it does not break the fast. And the other one they add, which is a controversial issue, but most of the scholars they adapted. But where's the proof? Which is إنزال المني بشهوة بفعل من الصائم. The discharge of the mani with lust by the deliberate act of the fasting person. Those are the conditions. Inzal, the discharge. That means has to be discharged. So if the person felt the lust and nothing came out, nothing ejaculated, it will not, according to them. Al-mani, that means the sperm. If it's other than the sperm, like the mani, the wadi, or the madi, or any type of secretion, it does not break the fast. It has to be the mani, the sperm. So inzal, the ejaculation. If there is nothing ejaculated, it does not even feel the lust. Number two, it has to be the sperm. Number three, bishahwa, with lust. Can the sperm come out without lust? Yes, through the ill person. Ill person can discharge sperm, but without lust. It does not break the fast, according to them. The fourth condition is بفعل من الصائم. It has to be with the intention of the fast, that he is moving himself, he's rubbing himself, or rubbing his wife, that he's doing it. But the scholars, they say, for example, now if he kissed his wife and he had discharged, ejaculated, it does not break the fast. But that poses a problem for them. So when you say بفعل من الصائم, so I am kissing my wife with the intention of discharging. What is that problem here going to have? What is going to tell you now? When I'm kissing my wife with the intention of the ejaculation. So that poses a problem for them as well. What they're going to do regarding this issue. Okay, so, and where is that when the Prophet ﷺ kisses while he's fasting? There is no such thing that you kiss without a shahwa. The shahwa is there, the lust. But the lust depends how big it is. But the lust is there. There is no such thing, switch off shahwa, switch on shahwa. Shahwa, kiss is a shahwa. So you can't just brother kiss a wife without shahwa. Can't do that. So that is why the scholars, they said, where is the proof for this? And they started bringing proofs which are not really clear proofs. I mean, if anybody wants to bring anything, an argument in his head, let him do so, and then we'll tackle it inshallah, but there's no proof. Because if you are going to entail the breaking of the fast on such a person, you're going to tell me that you have to do exactly what you have to do regarding the person is making intercourse. You have to make the kafar al-ghalidha, and they don't do that, which is that to free a slave or fasting 60 people, fasting 60 days or feeding 60 people. And they don't say that. So we left with those breakers that we have mentioned before, and I mentioned them again: food and drink and intercourse, mentioned in the Quran, and that is deliberate vomit, which is mentioned in the Sunnah, and The general principle mentioned in the Quran, which is regarding the drip, which is injection that is meant to substitute for the food and the drink. Those are the cold breakers of the fast by choice. There are two which are without choice, the menses and the postnatal blood. Those ones by choice, which is the 5 we mentioned, they have conditions. Once these have conditions, then if one of these conditions is not there, then it will not be a breaker of a fast. The one which is without any consent, which is the postnatal blood and the menses, nothing to do with that. I'm talking about the 5 we have mentioned here. They have to fulfill 3 conditions. If one of the conditions is not there, then it is not counted. And we're going to make them this year, inshallah, 4 conditions, not 3, to make them more details. Condition number 1 is the knowledge. And the opposite of it is the ignorance. Condition number 2 is remembrance, and the opposite of it is to forget. Condition number 3 is intentional, and the opposite of it, unintentional. Condition number 4, consent, and the opposite is non-consent. Again, condition number 1, knowledge. So if the person had the knowledge, it will be a fast break. If he hasn't got the knowledge, it will not be a fast break. The knowledge here, the knowledge is of 2 things. The time, that means he's doing it during the day, not during the night. And the knowledge as well of the hukum, the rule. The knowledge regarding the time, that the person, he thought it is still night and still eating. So he doesn't know it was the day. So he looked at the clock and he thought it was 2 o'clock and he started eating for sahur, and then later on he found out it was 5 o'clock. It will not break this fast. What is the proof for that? We have a proof from the Quran and we proof from the Sunnah. We have the Quran, with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, رَبَّنَا لَا تُؤَخِذْنَا إِن نَسِينَا وَأَخْطَأْنَا. Oh Lord, don't take us on account if we forget or if we make a mistake. Make a mistake here, ignorance. In the Sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ, we have 2 hadiths. One from Asma at the time of the Prophet of Allah, and one at the time of Umar al-Khattab. The time of Asma, the time of the Prophet ﷺ, Asma, she said, the daughter of Abu Bakr, she said, أفطرنا على يوم غيم في يوم غيم على عهد رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم ثم طلعت الشمس. We have broken our fast on a day which was cloudy. This is Sahih Bukhari. On a day which was cloudy, and then the sun had appeared. They thought the sun had set, but he wasn't. The proof from that the Prophet of Allah did not command them to compensate for that day. That wasn't mentioned in the hadith, but we could see, because this is something that is a hukum, and the hukum, even the Prophet of Allah was not told about this. Revelation would come to tell him to fix the situation. Would it be, the Prophet would have been known, and he would say, verily, that day is not going to be counted. And the Prophet would have been told straight away. Just like that companion, when he was guarding the camp of the Prophet ﷺ, the army, and Abbad ibn Bishr, his name, and he was hit by an arrow while he was reciting in his prayer, and he continued praying. Set another arrow, the blood is gushing, 3rd arrow, then he had to be worried now. He finished his prayer, woke up his friend Ammar ibn Yasir, and he saw gushing blood. Why did you tell me? He said, well, I was in the middle of the Surah Al-Kahf. I don't want to finish. If it hasn't been that the Prophet ﷺ, he said that the army's custody is in your charge, it's safe to theirs, I would have really finished the whole surah. It doesn't matter if it takes my life. That's why he had to wake up, to wake his friend up. Now that blood gushed out while he was praying. If the blood was a wudu breaker, even the Prophet of Allah was not there, he would have been told by revelation. He would have said that blood, you should repeat what? Your prayer. Because it's a hukum shari. The second one, hadith at the time of Umar ibn Khattab, and it's a clear one. At the time of Umar, the companions would look in the sun, and the cloud came. They thought the sun disappeared. They broke their fast, and the sun appeared. And they said, we didn't do anything wrong. Ma qassarna, we didn't do anything wrong. So they did not compensate for that day. The knowledge also, the knowledge of that thing breaks your fast. So if a person had swallowed a piece of paper and we said to him, brother, food, it doesn't mean it has to be, beneficial food. Even swallowing a piece of paper will break your fast. I didn't know that. If he said he didn't know that, then we say what? It will not be what? A breaker. But if somebody had eaten, for example, let's say, honey. Brother, honey breaks the fast. I didn't know that honey breaks the fast. We said to him, which country do you come from? Which planet do you come from? We want to know. So if he's from the planet Earth, and he comes from, countries, everybody's there, can't accept that as an excuse. But if he came from an area where there's nobody there, he's on his own in the desert, he doesn't know. He thinks honey is barakah from Allah, and doesn't really come from the bees, doesn't come from either, and the bees no problem, then we accept that as an excuse. So, but other than that, we can't. We have to ask him. So if a person had swallowed, for example, petrol or diesel, knowing that it's not breaking the fast, it will not break his fast. What is the proof for that? The Quran, the same thing that we have mentioned. And in the Sunnah, we have. In the Sunnah, we have number one, Hadith Adi ibn Hatim radiallahu anhu. And Hadith Abi Talha al-Ansari radiallahu anhu. Hadith Ali ibn Hatim, that is, when he embraced Islam, he started fasting. He read the verse, وَكُلُوا وَاشْرَبُوا حَتَّى يَتَبَيَّنَ لَكُمُ الْخَيْطُ الْأَبْيَضُ مِنَ الْخَيْطِ الْأَسْوَدِ مِنَ الْفَجْرِ. And eat and drink until you distinguish the white thread from the black thread from the Fajr. What is the white thread and the black thread? Now, linguistically speaking, if you're going to depend upon his language, he just went to a iqal. Iqal, which is the tether of the camel. One which is black, and one which is what? White. Then he put them underneath his pedal. And during the night he started eating. And then he pulls both of them. Can I distinguish between them? Between the white and the black? I can't. Eats. Because it's dark, remember. There's no light. Eats. He puts them back again. Pulls them again. I can't see them. Eat. Eat. Until he saw it can distinguish. Now when he started to distinguish, it's not Fajr, it's almost Dhuhr. It's really, very late. Well after Fajr. And he went to the Prophet of Allah and he told him. So the Prophet ﷺ, he smiled and laughed. He said, no, it's not the white thread from the black thread. It's not the white tether from the black tether. It is actually the dawn from the night. The white thread means the dawn from the night, which is the black thread. Did he order him to make that day? No, he did not. Because he didn't know. Ali Abi Talha, on the day of Ramadan, he saw hail. Hail is the round ball made of ice, which rarely comes in those areas. These days they come, mashallah, in a lot. He took one of the hails and he started licking it while he was fasting in Ramadan. Companion is telling him, what's wrong? He said, what's wrong? It's barakah. Barakah from the heaven. It does not break your fast. Now, when they said it's wrong, that means it's a fast breaker. When he said it's barakah from the sama, he didn't have the knowledge. And they did not come out into what? But once they told him that it is not, it's break of the fast, then he should what? Stop. Not, let me have another lick. Person who's been eating the paper, doesn't matter whether it's beneficial or not beneficial, it will break your fast. Stop eating the piece of paper. Well, let me try another one, it doesn't work. The person who knew the time, 2 o'clock, and then he went back to the kitchen, it's 4 o'clock. You should stop now. No, let me go back to the other clock, 2 o'clock, so I can keep eating food. It doesn't work like that. So this is the knowledge. The second one, remembrance. If you didn't remember, we have the ayah, which is we have mentioned, the same thing. رَبَّنَا لَا تُؤَخِذْنَا إِن نَسِينَا أَوْ أَخْطَأْنَا. Don't hold us on account, O Lord, if we forget. In the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, رُفِعَ عَنْ أُمَّةِ الْخَطَأ وَالنِّسْيَانِ, the ummah اسْتُكْرِهُ عَلَيْهِ, which can be used as well as a proof for the first one. The pin has been raised, and they will not be charged for 3 things. Al-khata', which is the ignorance, the first we mentioned. Nisyan, which is forgetfulness. وَمَا اسْتُكْرِهُ عَلَيْهِ, what is being compelled, this is going to be coming to the other conditions now. So al-nisyan, also from the hadith of the Prophet of Allah, any person who had eaten and he forgot, and then let him continue his fast, فَإِنَّمَا أَطْعَمَهُ اللَّهُ وَأَسْقَاهُ, for Allah is giving him the food and the drink. So this person is drinking, especially in the first day. People make this mistake. Drinking like this, and mashallah during the fast, during the day, and he didn't know until he last drop on that cup. He remembered. Or somebody reminded, brother, today is fasting. Then all of that, mashallah, alhamdulillah. But he said, I'm going to say, brother, the last drop. That last drop will break his fast. Even though all of that cup did not break his fast, but the last one, if he knew whether he had remembered or somebody reminded him. Now, when you see someone who is drinking or eating on those days, don't you ever say to yourself, let him drink, because Allah is giving him the food and the drink. You have to tell him off. From your point of view, he's doing what? Evil. He's doing wrong. And this is enjoying good and forbidding evil. So don't you ever think, I think Allah made him forget, and I shouldn't really remind him. And the brother is being reminded, brother, why did you remind me? You should let me continue my food and my breakfast. And no, I should tell you. What you're doing is wrong. So this is the proof from the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ. We said that from the ayah and from that. Third one, intentional. The opposite of this is what? Unintentional. What is intentional and unintentional? Person in the same verse, and in a verse we could add an ayah or two ayahs. وَلَكِنْ مَا تَعَمَّدَتْ قُلُوبُكُمْ, what your heart intentionally had done. And the other one, إِلَّا مَنْ أُكْرِهَ وَقَلْبُهُ مُطْمَئِنٌ. This is the fourth condition. وَلَكِنْ مَا تَعَمَّدَتْ قُلُوبُكُمْ لَيْسَ عَلَيْكُمْ جُنَاحٌ فِيمَا أَخْطَأْتُمْ بِهِ وَلَكِنْ مَا تَعَمَّدَتْ قُلُوبُكُمْ. And this is number one. And so the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, the same hadith we quoted. رُفِعَ الْأُمَّةِ الْخَطَأُ وَالنِّسْيَانُ وَلَا اسْتُكْرِهُ عَلَيْهِ. Now, intentional is the person, let's say, for example, is making wudu. And while he's making wudu, he's, number one, knows that the water is what? Breaking the fast. So he's got the knowledge. Number two, he's remembering his fasting. Number three, he has the consent. He's nobody putting on his gun and make wudu. He's doing this consent. But while he's making his wudu, he's intentionally making wudu, but he's unintentionally trying to what? Swallow it. Somehow, while he was gargling, something came inside. Then that is under the unintentional. So he didn't know. Person who's helping another person by pulling some petrol from his car to put in another person's car. So he's putting the pipe in that person's car, in his car, and he's now sucking. And he knows petrol breaks the fast. He knows he's fasting. He remembers. And he's got the knowledge. And nobody's forcing him. He's got the consent. But somehow when he pulled, is to have the first suck in order to put it in that gallon, some petrol went inside his stomach. It breaks his fast. No, it doesn't. Because it is what? Unintentional. So intentional means he intends the action to do it, but he does not intend the breaker. Do you understand? He's intentional, but he's unintentional of breaking. He didn't intend to actually break his fast. He intended the action itself, that is to suck or to gargle. So that's what we say to the people. When you are doing wudu, don't do like this person which I've seen. Oh, I can't remember now. 2 days ago, or yesterday, I can't remember, 3 days ago, I have seen him when he's making wudu. Actually 2 days ago, Monday, he was doing all this. That's why he's making wudu. There's no need for that. Especially in Ramadan. You can't go, wudu is like that. Even if you did like that, that's wudu. Put the water up, but to move it vigorously, that's the sunnah. But when you are fasting, don't do it vigorously. As for the tilting of the head, that's not from the sunnah. It's called gharghara. What do you want gharghara? And this will make the water goes inside. If you did that deliberately, to do this and you've been told not to do it, then if you made the khata, then it will be counted. Because you've been told not to do it. Prophet said, don't do that, don't exaggerate. If you did not exaggerate, somehow swallow the water, it's no problem. Fourth condition, which is the consent. Consent means a choice. If you didn't have any consent, no problem. From non-consent is the postnatal blood and menses. Non-consent. Allah made you come with this. Non-consent, the wife of a person who is this person who wants to make an intercourse. She knows intercourse will what? Break the fast. She remembers that she is fasting. And she is intentionally doing it. She's doing it. But she had no power to resist the husband. She had no consent. So it's an intentional intercourse. Intentional. But she had no what? Choice. So if she had no choice, what happened here? Is she going to be same thing as the husband? No. We're coming back now to this intercourse business. If the man intercourse with his wife the day of Ramadan, while the fasting is in both wife and husband obligatory, with their consent, is it only the husband that will expiate, or the husband and the wife? That's a controversial. Some say it is only the husband. Some say no, husband and the wife. The one who says only the husband, it depends upon the hadith of that man who came to the Prophet ﷺ. He said, halakt. Halak means what? I've had it. Halaktu, Ya Rasul. What have you done? I made intercourse in the month of the day of Ramadan while fasting was obligatory upon me. Oh. And you got slave to free. Messenger of Allah, I own nobody except for myself. And you have no slaves. Fast 60 days. Messenger of Allah. Can't. Too much for me. Too difficult physically for him. Fast, so then he'd feed 60 people. Messenger of Allah, by the one in whose hand is your soul, between the two lavas, mountains of Medina, there's no one, there's what? Poorer than me. He made an oath, and I don't think he's working with the social security to know every person in the Medina whether he's poorer than them or not, but he made an oath, there's nobody poorer than me. Because, this is we call it an oath with ghalabat al-dhann. He thinks, most likely, that nobody's poorer than him. That's what the Prophet of Allah smiled. Then he waited until Sadaqah came to the Prophet of Allah, and he gave it to the man, and he said, go and what? Give it to the poor people, starting by whom? Yourself, because you're poor in your family. So he took the 60 sa' of dates, and he started giving the poor people. So this is now the story where the scholars, they muse, they say, well, he did not, the Prophet of Allah, tell him to go and tell your wife to go and make the expiation. A reply on this could be as follows. Number one, that this is fatwa. And when the fatwa is taking place, the Prophet of Allah will give the mufti according to what fatwa. It's not prescribed punishment. It's a fatwa. You make me fatwa, I give you. If it's prescribed punishment, then I will do it. Prescribed punishment that you are fornicated with so and so. So we will punish you and we'll send to somebody to go and ask that, because prescribed punishment. But this is a fatwa, as I'm going to tell you, you're going to do. I'm not going to see you feeding 60 people. I'm not going to see you prescribed punishment. I'm going to implement it. So that is why the Prophet of Allah, when Hind, radiallahu anha, she came to the Prophet of Allah, she said, my husband so and so is stingy, shall I take from his money? He said, yeah, take from his money what you need. Now he did not go investigate Abu Sufyan. Are you sure that, your wife, she claimed that you are stingy? He did not say that. If you say what you say is true, then that's what you should do. Same thing he said to that man. But in terms of ahkam is in both, man and women. So we say, وَالسَّارِقُ وَالسَّارِقَةُ وَالزَّانِي وَالزَّانِيَةُ. Allah says it, male and female, there's no difference between them. So there's a powerful proof to say that was the case of asking for fatwa. But it doesn't mean that woman, she done it with her consent. She was not being compelled. She's done it intentionally. She's done it as well in the future. She's not forget. She was remembering and she knew that the intercourse will break her fast, and she has to do the same thing as the man. The second proof for them as well, they say that there is a narration in the hadith. He said, Messenger of Allah, ahlaktu. Not halaktu. Means ahlaktu, that means I pushed her to do the intercourse. I forced her. She was under force. Meaning that it is the one who's under force or being compelled, he will not be what? Punished, because the fourth condition is not there. So now we understand now the four conditions that have been mentioned for those fast breakers.